There we go. All right. I have to keep an eye on the time. I can't stream past 2 today. I've got stuff to do. Roommates need some quiet around that time. So, I'm just going to work a little bit today on getting my head in the game for my 3D library again. Don't want to spend too much time away from that. I made, just for fun, a little animation following on with some of the GPS data stuff that I was doing yesterday. Made a little track animation here. So we've got the 2D version of the track in the pink at the bottom here. And then this was just a bike ride I did recently. And then we've got scaled, it's not proportional, but we've got the I should say amplified elevation data as well, and then a little arrow indicating north. So that worked pretty well, actually. Pretty pleased with that, gotta say. I actually want to, while I'm here, just take the input ride.webm and do ride.mp4. Want to translate that. Here's another version I was working on. Oop, excuse me. There, but it's the same old thing. Anyway, let's close that. This ride.mp4 should also work. Yep, looks good to me. Okay, let's make sure this is saved. And we'll get back into good old Forge stuff and get the ball rolling. Here we are. Alright, so we're going to be focused in on frep again, just because we only have a little bit of time today. Nothing too crazy. I wonder, is share a... it's not. It'd be cool if there was a command line share tool. Just want to make sure I remember to transfer this into my phone so that I can post it, because it's a cool thing. I want to post it. What's going on here? Come on. Oh, it's right here. That's the button I need. I'm still here. I'm just hiding my screen for a second. Gotta handle this. There we go. All right, we're good to go. All right, there it is. There we are. Now let's get back into Forge and keep things going. All right. Let's see here. Oh, let's see this. All right. All right. So with this frep stuff, I've got to see how things are going, basically. Let's actually see what I have so many cider show attempts. It's pretty funny. Let's do sphere. See, what I don't know is if the sphere rendering is actually working properly or if I did it wrong. So let's go sphere SDF and see what prior work there is. Nil. See, there's something wrong. That should easily render. That's a strange thing. So let's go try and fix it. Okay. Distance between the point, the center, minus r. That's a lot easier. I think I'm going to redef this. Def in sphere r. Oops. Function taking a point. Let. Oh, I don't need any of that. Let's do util slash distance between point and 0, 0, 0 minus r. Let's see if that's any better. I think it might be. Went rock climbing last night, and if you don't keep doing it like every week, you quickly end up with really sore fingers again. Okay, so that's exactly way better than this. So we're just gonna delete that entirely. Oops. And now we've got a better sphere function, which is really good. All right. let's see about Polygon improvements. So let's do, a little bit of slowness in the rendering here today. But you know what? Let's be okay with that. Inigo quiz 2D SDFs. Can use this here as a guiding set of code. 2D SDFs. There's all kinds of useful tools here. All of these I'm going to handle with a general Polygon implementation. And that's what I need to make sure I get right by following this. Hopefully I could figure out how to implement this. Let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can do. Got ellipse, parabola. There's all kinds of cool stuff. Parabola segment, Bezier curve. Oh boy. A Bobby cross. That's cool. There's all kinds of cool stuff with SDFs. Gotta not get ahead of myself though. Hey, WC. I'm not sure how I can pronounce your name efficiently. I'll call you W if you're okay with that. First time viewer. Well, glad you're here. How's it going? Nice to have you. Seems like a cool library I'm working on. Yeah, thanks. I'm enjoying things so far. I've got. Do you use Clojure yourself? Just out of curiosity. I've got a few things going on here. I'm working on 2D, 3D stuff using Clojure primarily. Well, yeah. And here, I'll show you another little thing that's already pretty useful, and I'm working on implementing stuff to generalize exporting to different 3D environments. You try to use Clojure or ClojureScript, but you're a JS dev by day. Okay. Have you, if you're a JS dev, you've probably heard about ClojureScript, right? I would imagine that might be a pretty fun place to start / continue in. Anyway, I'm sure you know all about that. I don't need to lecture you on Clojure and ClojureScript. But I'm glad you like the library. Here, let me show you. So I've got my REPL up here, right, on the left, and then my org file with all the source code. These things, I am pretty happy with how these work. They're not actually that amazing under the hood. I have a model, a 3D data model. If I print A to the REPL here, it's basically hiccup data, but you can run it through different compilers. And one of them is OpenSCAD, which is a 3D script CAD tool. So this little CIDR show utility tool function I made, it does a shell call to OpenSCAD, which will create a PNG, image temp PNG here, and then you can load it back as a Java file object, and then the CIDR REPL will display it in the inline there. So you can use that to your advantage and quickly see, you can kind of eval partial stuff and get a view of it as you're building up some kind of 3D object. And today I'm working on this other aspect of the library called functional representation. And what the simplest, well, maybe the simplest, one simple way to explain functional representation is they're all functions that return functions that expect a 3D point. Then that function returns a scalar value of the distance from the point you give it to its edge or its boundary. So this sphere, for example, computes the distance between whatever point you give and the origin position. So this is x, y, z coordinate values, and then subtracts the radius of the sphere you give it. And so I'm working on additional render tools to help me visualize this stuff quickly in the REPL. Now, the quickly part is the problem I'm having because I'm doing naive sort of implementations at the moment. It just rasterizes every pixel, but it's doing a ray march step for every single pixel, and so it can be slow. It's better than nothing though, because trying to visualize your trying to visualize functions can be difficult sometimes. But let me show you what I mean by rendering this out. So I'll render a sphere pretty quickly here. Let's do Cider Show 3D, and I'll just build a sphere of radius 80 is maybe a little aggressive. Oh, you know what? Let's just do it. So you can see already this method is a lot slower than just using OpenSCAD. And that's okay for now. The whole idea is that the same tree that you generate with the model data, you can use OpenSCAD to export to that format. Then you could use this to export to other formats. So that's the whole idea. So there you go. That's a sphere. It's got some kind of shading on it. It looks a little weird because it's a sphere, right? It's hard to tell that it's anything. So I think I've got another test here. Oh, it's super cool. Loving the emac setup. Yeah, thanks. The emac setup is, there's improvements I want to make with it, but it's, what I love is it wasn't actually that hard to do. Like, once I figured out how to make Cider just display things in line, it's a simple matter of, if you have utilities that you can render into a PNG or something like that, if you have a way to produce an image, then you can fairly trivially just make a little utility function that generates the image from the data you give it, saves it to a temp file, and then reloads it so that it displays in here. Just out of the gate, like, that wasn't hard to do. The things I want to do are figure out if I can improve it by eliminating the need for a temp file, having a faster render process, eliminating shell calls for different programs, that sort of stuff. But even as is, it's pretty sweet, right? It's really helpful already. Let me quickly show you one slightly more complicated model, and then I'll keep moving on. Here, I've got a poorly named file called asdf, or model, I should say. So let me do, instead of the sphere, I'll do asdf, and we'll see what it looks like. Oh. You JS front-end dev, back-end, full stack? Kind of stuff do you work on? Share if you want. If you don't want to share, that is cool too, by the way. Everyone can choose not to answer questions if they don't want, but it's always fun to hear what new viewers are working on, what kind of interests they have in terms of programming and stuff like that. I find Clojure is, people kind of like the language, but often it's not their main thing, or they don't know all of the intricacies of it and stuff like that. I mean, not that I know everything about it either. There's all kinds of stuff to learn. But anyway, so there you go. That's this is a a rough, quick demonstration of the difference function. So you get two solids, and if you basically you can chomp one of the volumes away using the other volume. Pretty cool, in my opinion. I actually, now that I'm looking at this, it'd be kind of cool to do. Let me change up what I'm doing here. Let's just do a difference between. You use React and React Native plus a fairly large nest.js API. Nest.js, that's, why am I blanking on what Nest is? Oh, it's thermostats, smart cameras, that kind of stuff. Cool stuff. That's cool. React Native as well. So React Native, that's for mobile apps usually, right? One of my blind spots is like UIs and stuff like that. Like I'm working on a CAD modeling library, and I have some tools that are their user interface in the most pedestrian sense, right? Like I'm the user of the library, and I can use the tools to see things. There's a lot of room for a real deal app to be built off the library, but that's stuff for in the future. No Nest, the API framework. Oh, I'm just completely mixing things up here. Sorry about that. Nest.js. I don't know why I was thinking a progressive node framework for building efficient server-side apps. Okay, there you go. I've never heard of this one. Or if I have, I've forgotten. Huh. Oh, well, sorry about that. I misunderstood. Seems nice. That's cool. Aren't I just so silly? That well, now I'm afraid I sound like a fool. I want to see what. Oh, let's do intersection. I actually haven't tested intersection properly yet. Let's do a box of 80, 80, 80. Yeah, sorry for getting that wrong. Let's do sphere. I don't know if this will look like anything. Let's find out. You can see why I'd want to have a way more efficient cider show function for the 3D here. It was a good guess. I've checked out reagent. Hiccup syntax is quite nice. Yeah, I find it fairly intuitive. I also like not having to write. If I'm doing, I don't end up writing actual hiccup all that frequently, but it's smart. It's easy enough to wrap your head around that you could basically end up creating, like, it's close to writing raw HTML, but just more efficient. You know, it's better. Oh boy. Sorry about that. I'm getting notifications that people are subscribing on YouTube and stuff like that. Oh, permit me a brief moment to just plug this, by the way. If you enjoy if you enjoy this stream and the stuff I'm working on, I do occasionally post videos that are edited and have a more structured explanation and goal to them. I just shared that in the chat there. So if there's anyone tuned in, feel free to have a look at that. No pressure, of course, but I don't always tell people that it exists, so I gotta remember to do that. Yeah, hiccup syntax is really quite nice, and I use I also have another library that I work on for SVG. And what I have model functions that you can use, and they'll emit hiccup syntax that can be directly, the hiccup compiler will create valid SVG from it. So you can use a bunch of SVG transformation tools. All of the SVG native elements are supported. It's really helpful for 2D drawings and stuff like that. And I even have an importer for it, so I can import SVG, transform it and parse it using the SVG library, and then use it as a basis for 3D models. So hiccup has been a pretty critical element of the work I've been doing because of the ease of use of making those data structures. I've watched your video on literate programming. Oh, cool. Seems like a good workflow. Makes me wish I knew Emacs. Well, give Emacs a try if you wanna learn it. Just like use it for a weekend or something, and you'll think you might think, oh, I don't like it, it's not for me. Give it one more try after you think that, just to give it that little fair shake, you know. But if you end up not liking or wanting to figure out Emacs, honestly, it's no problem. It is a fun workflow though. I do enjoy the literate style, especially for the earlier kind of discovery phase of writing libraries when you don't exactly know what you're doing. But also, thanks for watching my videos. That's really cool. I'm glad they're useful. I gotta motivate and find the time to make a few videos and post on there again. I really like doing it, but I've been getting busy and who knew that making content was actually challenging? I think anyone who makes content knows that that's the case. I made this sphere too big, I think. Let me try this one more time. Oh, my bad here. Let's do... There we go. Oh boy. Went rock climbing last night, and now I feel it in my arms. It's a good feeling, but you gotta stretch, otherwise you're gonna just seize up, you know. All right. So once I confirm or see if this intersection function is actually working, I'm not convinced that it is. Oh, no. Let me back up a second here. I'm putting in what I want to be the diameter. I'm doing this wrong. Of course I am. Let's do 50, sphere 50. Give it another try here. You don't use Emacs, W. What editor do you use most frequently? Do you use Vim or do you use VS Code or something different? If you're a JS dev, if I could hazard a guess, I think a lot of JS devs use VS Code these days because it's got really nice plugins and really good. It's actually a really nice editor. But I don't know. I mean, there's all kinds of good editors that people use. There you go. That looks what I wanted it to look like. So that is the intersection function. If I change this to difference, what will that end up looking like? Will it look cool or weird? Well, I mean, we can try it. All right, enough. Once this is rendered, I'm gonna wrap my head around implementing this generalized Polygon tool and start using that to base some, well, I'm gonna replace my existing Polygon implementation, which works but isn't that smart. Yeah, VS Code all day. So much tight integration with the JS world. Yeah, it's really quite powerful when you have a look at all of the plugins available. It's basically, I remember using it for a bit. I don't know what the status of them is, but I saw a few plugins that basically will render Three.js code right in a pane, right in a one tab, I should say, in VS Code. So you could even have like integrated interactive 3D graphics. Yeah, I thought it was really cool. I don't know the status of it at the moment. That looks really cool, hey? I'm pleased with that. I love that. Love seeing that kind of stuff. Okay, so as I said, I'm going to try to implement this kind of approach for generalized polygons here and test that out a bit. Let me show. A is, yeah, okay, good. So let me do, this is a Cider show here. This is a two-dimensional version of the 3D show here. It'll output, I believe it's a hexagon or an octagon. That's an octagon. Anyway, this is a render of the way I'm implementing at the moment polygons, and you can see it triangulates it, and then there's these discontinuities on the surface on the inside here. It's not bad, like this will actually work just fine, except mathematically this is not really the best way to do it. So I want to do this instead. That's the goal for the day, because I only have till 2 o'clock, so I've got a little over an hour to work on that. W, just curious, what brought you to the stream? Did you happen to see it while you were browsing Twitch, or did you see it from a link from my YouTube channel or something like that? I, as you might be able to tell, I'm a small streamer, small YouTube channel, that kind of stuff. I really love doing it, and I want to build up an audience over time and stuff like that. It's interesting to hear where people come from, what the connections are, you know? Oh, you got it from Twitter. Oh, perfect. I never know about Twitter. I try not to, like, I want to balance not spamming my stream stuff. But if I do it, occasionally people notice it and stuff like that. Hard to find the balance. Basically, I don't know what I'm doing. Got it from Twitter, though. Okay, so there is utility there, I've learned. It's not useless. Thanks for sharing that, by the way. That is helpful. Right, so at the moment here, I have a Polygon implementation. It takes points. It uses an ear clipping algorithm to partition those points into all of the triangles you see here. It becomes an inefficient algorithm over big polygons, but it does guarantee that it triangulates perfectly the polygon. This even works on concave polygons, so polygons with a little jog inside and back out. It does work, but it's too slow. I think I saw someone mention you in a Reddit thread about Clojure YouTubers to watch. Oh, hey, well that's good news for me. Means I gotta keep that content engine going. No, that's really good to hear. Hey Mike, good to see you. Hope you're doing well today. Have someone here, W, I was just asking about what brought them into the stream and stuff like that. They've been really helpful explaining how they heard about me. All right, yeah, so here we are today doing this. Oh, Mike, since you heard about this yesterday, I'll pull it up for just a minute. I want to show the progress. Oh. With the oh yeah, W. Mike is a regular viewer. He's great. He's friendly. He's kind. He's one of the mods. That's not a threat. That's just information. So here we go. This is a total tangent from what I'm working on today, but since Mike, you were here yesterday watching me do the GPS stuff, let me just loop this little animation I made for a second here. So this is one of my bike rides. This arrow indicates where north actually is. This is an isometric skew, like isometric top-down view there. Mike is definitely not great or friendly. Yeah, I specifically found the worst person I could find to make a mod. That was the goal I had. That's not true at all. But yeah, so here this is it's not to scale, but what I've got is latitude and longitude data crudely transformed into XY coordinates. And then this pink line is the 2D path that creates. And then the purple path above it is the same path with Z data derived from the elevation data of the GPS track. So you can see it's amplified, but I start up here. This is the start position, well, or end if I loop back and forth. This thing is a casual 30-minute bike ride. So the elevation, you can see the start. When I start here, I end up going down a bunch of nice hills. It's really good. And then the low point is over here. And then you got to go back, and it's actually a little bit harder because you're going up in elevation more often than not. Yeah, so that's a pretty fun experiment. I got to keep working on. I looked up OSM, OpenStreetMap's data. I have to read up on how to properly download and render proper map data, not just GPS track data. And I have to figure out how to make a really cool display. I want to kind of render the maps in a neat way, but that's a whole other thing. This is really cool on its own, in my opinion. I'm happy with how it's turned out. Yeah, so that's a tangent a bit, but pretty cool, right? I'm happy with it. All right, let's go here, try to implement this today. Oh yeah, is that something, is that something I've rendered myself? Yeah, so this, I have a little utility where I can, are you familiar with the tool ffmpeg? It's like a command line video editing and processing and converting tool. You can use it to stitch together a sequence of PNG images. So what I do is if I have a function that can render a PNG, I can wrap that function in a time step function. So you give a model that can be turned into a PNG, and then you give it time steps, and then you make functions that transform it based on the time step. Then you get from that, right, for each time step, you export a frame. So you get this massive sequence of PNGs. Then you just use ffmpeg to smush it all back together. And then you can apply filters and all kinds of stuff like that. And then it comes out kind of like this. So I could make this, so this is 60 FPS, 7 seconds long. I could make it 20 FPS, 3 seconds long. I could modify the rotation. I could do whatever I want and just have transformations based on time steps, and you can animate things however you want. Use it to cut down a video file. Had no idea it could be used for something like this. Oh man, let me tell you. So I made a script that takes YouTube timestamp URLs from my VOD uploads and a duration, downloads that part as a clip, and then resizes it, overlays graphics on it, and then concatenates it together with other clips all using ffmpeg and YouTube downloader to make a sort of stream highlights video. So you can do quite a bit with ffmpeg and the right scripting tools. It's very fun. I actually have a YouTube video about that as well. So if you are interested in how I think through that and use Clojure to work on that, you can check out the YouTube channel and give it a go. So I have talked about it before. It's really fun. It's really powerful software. There's more about it that I don't know than that I do know. But even with what I know, you can use it to make some really cool stuff. All right, let's implement a new Polygon function here. I think I might just do this in an imperative style for now. Not worry about being the quote-unquote correct functional programmer today. Let's just get something out on the page, you know, and go from there. So I have to figure out how this works. The one sort of tricky thing, this here, Inigo Quies, is a fantastic dev, works on shadertoy, and has amazing resources about sign distance functions and volumetric rendering and stuff like that. Really cool. Shadertoy, if you're not aware, is it more cider rendering stuff? Not specifically. Here's shadertoy. It's gonna chug on my computer a bit, but it's WebGL shader renders right in the browser, and you can see it as you work on it. It's really cool. So this person is fantastic, is what I'm saying. I have to be out of here in about an hour. My roommate needs some quiet time for some work calls and stuff like that, so can't stay too long. But it's not about rendering, it's about today. You can see how my current Polygon implementation just merges triangles, it unions them, but it leaves these discontinuities on the inside of the polygon. I want to have a more optimal, smooth interior. So I'm going to try this Polygon implementation to see if I can get better results. I have little clue about 3D rendering myself, but you work with a bunch of game devs. Fun to watch, though. Yeah, 3D and 2D rendering for me, it has been a little bit intimidating. A lot of it, if you just give yourself patience to read through things and try to understand them and whatnot, they end up being manageable. I kind of think they're not easy, but I do think anyone with enough time can actually think through things and figure out more or less how they work. Oh yeah, good question. Do you work for game dev stuff at all? All right. You guys talk amongst yourselves. I'll interact from time to time, but I want to get some code written here. I will chime in when I see and have anything useful to say, and you know how that is. Okay, so right, so this is basically shader code right away. Oh, W, don't worry about distracting. Feel free to talk as much as you want in the chat. It's always my choice to look at the chat or look at my code, right? It's never your responsibility. I choose to be distracted or not. Oh, you work... that's cool. You have a startup with a game engine in 3JS. Nice stuff. 3JS is another really amazing library. There's a lot of stuff to it, and it can be super confusing. To me, anyway. But it's really quite cool. The creator of that, I think Mr. Doob is their name. Something like that. Really cool dev, really helpful too from what I've seen. So I'm pretty sure here vec2 in n it's a list of vectors basically, and then here this vec2p is the 2D point that you're asking for. So in this point here, it ends up looking like this. That's the point here, and this V is this points list here. So that's the connection there. Getting replacing Three.js soon with WebGL and WebAssembly soon for performance reasons. Yeah, that's not surprising to hear, honestly. WebAssembly is something I gotta look into more myself too, for exactly those kinds of reasons. It's really intriguing to get sort of more native compiled approach instead of delivering a huge weird bundle of JS. I never wrapped my head around JS builds and stuff like that. I'm a noob and I don't understand, and I kind of part of me doesn't want to because it seems complicated. But that's me being a grumpy old man. Okay, so we set out by doing float D is the dot product oh my goodness, P minus V naught and V naught. Why is that? Okay, util slash dot. I do have a dot product, that's helpful. What's the dot product between a point and itself? My intuition about dot product is a little shaky today, but it is helpful to get it, so that's okay. So, okay. D, here's the thing that's also a challenge when trying to convert stuff from code like this into Clojure. Here, for example, right, we define D up here, but then inside the for loop, we redef D all the time. So Clojure, it doesn't work that way. If I were to do a let statement here, let D be util slash dot product between P minus first of V and all that stuff, it's permanently the same value. You can't just overwrite it. Like you can't, it's not mutable. So never worked with Three.js before. Been trying to learn Canvas, but I'm not a great front-end dev. My JS experience is mostly Node and creating endpoints. Angular skills are terrible. Outside of work, though, I really like Node and Python, Flask, and Django. Node, Python and Flask, or Django? Oh. Flask and Django are two different frameworks, right? Like for web frameworks. Am I correct on that? Utils dot. Right, so I have to think about this for a second. So the new dot product is the minimum of the pre-calculated dot product and then dot product of this intermediately calculated thing here. So what I'm going to do is actually put, I'm not going to let this be anything. Technically, yes, but as I see it, Django is just Flask with more bells and whistles. So use Django if I want a nice UI. Flask if I need a headless project. W says, cool. Do React and Node at work. Been trying to learn more Clojure. Man, you guys have so much like good knowledge and industry experience. I'm sometimes jealous of that stuff. It's really cool. Great stuff. I've attempted to use Django before, and I haven't used it in a long time. But I'm sure I used it because it was a strongly recommended thing. I hear like people really do like Django and Flask. Doing lots of GraphQL as well. I've been wanting to check out how that might work in Clojure. CW, that I actually don't know about. I'm sure. Whoops, that's not what I meant to do. Oh, hey, that looks really cool. Oh, distracted day. Distracted day today. That's okay. Okay, so for I0 and j is n minus 1, as long as I is less than n, j equals I. I plus plus. I'm too not smart right now to figure that one out. Okay, so loop in Clojure is kind of confusing. Yeah, GraphQL is a query language kind of like SQL is a query language, right? Like, they're not the same, but I don't know what I'm talking about. What's the typical usage context for GraphQL, if I may be so bold to ask? Is it with like you make a graph of the state of a front end of an app or something like that, and you query a state element? Or is it for database stuff? Or both? Neither? I don't know. All right, let's put this in a loop here. Let's do D has to be something. S is 1. Where does S come into play? S times equals -1, huh? Oh, so it toggles. You know what? Let's just try to do this as blind. Like, let's just do it blind. Risky, but like let's try to translate it as directly as possible is what I mean by that. See, this syntax, I actually don't know if I'm reading this right. What I don't know is this here, j equals I. That doesn't make sense to me. Usually you still use SQL for the database. GraphQL is about the client asking for certain resources from the API. Ah, okay. Thanks for clarifying that. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I bet there are a few query language tools that either are meant to mimic GraphQL or be GraphQL in Clojure, but I couldn't point you in the right direction. So you'd have to do your own research on that one, but I'm sure you'll find stuff. Oh boy, I'm struggling, I'll tell you that. All right, so let's put I and J in there. Let's calculate. Oh, here, we can do n outside of this. N is just going to be count points, which is, I think that makes sense. You know what? We can make what we think will work and then just go from there, right? That's fine. So we initialize as 0, j equals n minus 1. These here, are these both conditions? I don't get this part of it. That's the thing I don't understand. Right. Anyway, moving on. I'll figure it out. Float. Oh, we do need to put s. Starts as a float, so we just set it as 1 like that. Let me order it the same way as well, just you know, just because. All right, so here utils dot product, we need to do the dot of p being point minus. Oh yeah, so we got to do utils vector minus points minus oh no, let me do this just a little differently here after all. Oh man, there's a GraphQL crash course going on in the chat. I love to see it. All right, d dot star. Yeah, we'll initiate. Yeah, okay. This is kind of making sense. I hope. Utils slash v minus points minus get from point. Oh wait, sorry. This is always going to be first points. It's just that twice, so let's do that. Okay, so that's D. Oh, no. Why did I put that here? I don't need to put that here. Here is fine. That will work. Oh, okay. What I think this is actually saying is something to the effect of no. For you initiate, I is at 0 and j is n minus 1. Which hey, Illusion. Hope you're doing well today. You're translating a library, is it? So I'm writing a library that is 2D, 3D CAD stuff for Clojure. I'm not doing a one-to-one translation. What I'm working on is, here, if I show you, oh, I cleared the REPL. Let me rerun. I've implemented a 2D Polygon function here. What it does is take the points you give it, triangulate it using an ear clipping algorithm, a fairly inefficient one, but it works. But it gives you this on the interior here, you've got the discontinuities, right? But where each triangle meets, it's not a continuous function. So I want to implement this polygon thing here and see if I can take that as an improvement. Other elements of the library are not taken from this code directly. Some bits are, but it's not a one-to-one. It's just oh, this particular function is useful here, and I'm trying to do a translation in this case. I think there's actually a way to make Clojure typed if you really want it. There are different things. A bit worried about going full dynamic like Clojure. Clojure does have a few things related to types. There's the spec libraries, not types, but it's a way to instrument your functions for validation, for generative testing, all kinds of things. And you declare with predicates and regex style checks that things match patterns and all that kind of stuff. Not going to go into it, but it's helpful for type sort of things that are useful. You can get primitive type checking to help in certain areas. So for example, where do I have that? Where's a good example? Here, this distance function, for example, this right here, this hat double is a type hint. It's not static typing, but you can use this to help in certain areas with functionality. That's for primitives. It's very different than higher order type stuff. But spec would be kind of if you're building your own algebra around the types you're working with. Spec is kind of in the vein of that sort of thing. Pretty cool if you want to look into it. Dynamic programming is useful to me. I like it. I'm used to it, so I have no qualms with it, but I get it. Illusion, doing great. How about me? I'm doing really well. I'm having a great day. You tried to stay up last night to today so that you could regulate your biological clock. You failed miserably. Have you thought of Neanderthal library to do math? It's very fast. I've thought about it, and as I'm developing, how should I say it? Optimizing for speed in the library is a concern that I have once the library becomes more and more established. So my logic was simply this: keep the total number of dependencies low as long as possible. Worry about optimizing later in the game when you have more concrete ideas about what you're structuring into the library, and try to do things yourself. And the third, that try to do things yourself, is a learning thing for me more than it has to be written by me thing, right? So I've thought about that, and I think it's on my radar for if and when I need to optimize certain elements of my code. So that's my strategy. So it'll probably end up in here, at least in certain parts of it. The other thing is I want this to be basically completely usable in ClojureScript as well. So I want to be careful with things that are JVM only. I want to have them very clearly separated out into their own namespaces. And so I want the library to be it would be really frustrating if it were blazing fast on the JVM and then unusably slow on ClojureScript, right? So for every library, I want to kind of make sure that I could either use them in both places or have approximately equivalent libraries across them, if that makes sense. Anyway, those are design goals as things go. Right, so let's see what we've got here. Oh boy. Having a slow day today, but that's all right. That is all right. Yeah, sorry to hear, Illusion, about your biological clock resetting endeavor. In my experience, trying to do it all in one day is not the best strategy, at least for me. What I mean is, let's say your sleep schedule is all out of whack. I try to shift no more than, let's say, 1.5 to 2 hours, whichever direction you need at a time. And you just do that for the course of a week. And then things hopefully line up a little bit better. But I have the luxury of flexible schedules. So, you know. But yeah, hopefully hopefully you get back on track soon and you feel okay. I don't like it when people are tired and feeling not 100%. So best of luck to you. Okay. Thanks for the tip. Yeah, I mean, take it or leave it, right? Not every human is the same, so. But I find it much more manageable. It's like you still get some sleep, right? So you can function the next day, that kind of thing. Or you don't feel guilty if you fall asleep, you know what I mean? Like if your goal is to stay up all night but you fall asleep at 2 a.m., it's not like, oh, I failed entirely, my day is ruined. It's, oh, it's okay. We're good. We're taking a few days to get on track here. It's called giving yourself a break, you know? Right. The only thing that's really hanging me up is this line here. This J minus I thing, I don't quite understand it. That's the whole problem I'm having. Everything else, I think I can translate in here just fine. Famous last words, right? Okay, so there's an if you got to do here. If I is less than n, then you participate in the loop, right? And you do that by, let's let and recalculate all the stuff we need here, which is E, W, B, D, C, oh dear, this is also confusing. So it's assembling a 3D vector here. So there's the X value, the Y value calculation. Wow, I don't get it. I'll figure it out. I don't think I'll figure it out entirely in 30 minutes, but you know what? We'll just do what we can. BVEC3. I don't know what BVEC means. What are we not getting? Maybe I can help. Well, so one thing here, Mike, this, oh, can I copy this into, shoot. Looks like a weird way to write the last if. It could, you might be right. Dope, Dopetimist. That's a great name. Hi, welcome to the chat. Hope you're doing well, by the way. Looks like a weird way to write the if. Yeah. Do you mean in here, or do you mean my if? So what I'm doing right now is not typical Clojure code. I'm just trying to do a bare translation here and then work from that as I actually understand what the function is doing. Because I'll be honest, I don't understand this yet. I'm just trying to translate it. So in the shader program, yeah. One thing I realize with a lot of shader stuff here is, for me anyway, it's hard to parse it a lot of the time because there's a lot of concision, right? They try to kind of, okay, well, this is the calculation here. Let's put it in line, and it can be a little hard to read, but maybe format the shader code to be more understandable and translatable. Actually, it's not a bad idea. Let's see. Oop. Let's see. Begin source. Oh, why didn't it put the end source tag there? That's weird. Normally it does. GLSL. Oops. Oh, it doesn't have... There. If I call it C, it highlights it okay. It's fine for me. Is the shader written in C? It's GLSL. Graphics language, shader language. I don't know what it's not C technically. But the highlighting works. This I don't know what I'm doing is really the problem. See, like, why set j to be n-1 and then set it to j equals I here? Oh, hey, Martin. Oh, thanks for answering that. That's a Boolean vector. Oh, interesting. What? Oh, okay. So it's just a triple of true, 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 or true, false, true, or whatever. So if all C, so if all of those things are true, or all of them are false. Ah. Okay, that's helpful. I translated a tweaked base 64 encoder decoder. It was about that size into just a few lines of CLJ. Felt really nice once it clicked. That's what I'm hoping for. the click moment eventually. I realize maybe this was a bit optimistic of me to do on stream because now I'm flailing like like a goose, you know, not knowing what I'm doing. But you know what? That's okay. It's all about learning. What I don't know what this means here. Like, is this take the greater, or is it like true if this is greater? I don't know what any of these mean. It might click in my head in a bit, but we'll see. Okay. They just produce Booleans. Do I have a link for the syntax? Probably some nuances that would explain it. Yeah, those are regular comparisons. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, okay. Good, we're getting somewhere, kinda. illusion set to n minus 1 because, yeah, so sorry, maybe I didn't ask it correctly here. It's looping, I starts at 0, j they set to n minus 1 here, then check that I is less than n. As long as that's true, set j equals I, and then I plus plus. Unless I'm parsing this incorrectly. Maybe I'm not understanding this last bit here. The init expression, right? The condition expression here. And then the loop expression here. Give me just 1 second. I'll I think it's always a way to keep I and j 1 unit apart. J equals I minus 1 in a circular sense. Okay. If any of you take it or leave it, I posted the link where to this page that has this code on it. If any of you wanted to look at it as well. Well, let me do the stuff that's at least like low hanging here. So E is yeah, so I can do V minus wait, sorry, 1 second. Okay, no, I think that's okay. Let's see what happens. So, right, if we just look at this, it's super simple. It's these 2D vectors, v at j minus v at I is e. So that's easy enough. Get from points I. Wait. J. This is this feels weird to write Clojure in this way. It's not normally how you would do it, but you know, whatever. Hopefully this can elucidate some things in my mind. That's the hope. But I'm not a genius, you know. I just gotta stumble through these things sometimes. I hope everyone's okay with that. So this one, right, is not that. It's P, and P is the point you pass in. So that's going to be that. There, that's W. Then B is W minus E times clamp. These dot products things between 0 and 1. Okay, that makes sense. Oh, just to be clear, thanks everyone for your feedback in the comments. If I missed or I'm not using what you've responded with exactly, that's no slight against what anyone's saying. That's me either not understanding or trying to think about it a bit differently. So please don't feel like I'm ignoring you, anyone. I do appreciate the help. and any failure to understand is a failure on my end. So I'm not neglecting the audience is what I'm trying to get at here. Okay, B, this is going to be a little bit of a messy thing here. So it's W minus this whole thing, which is clamp. I can do clamp. I've got utils/clamp. I forget the can Clojure be fast? I feel ignored. I'm a failure. No, Illusion, I'm so sorry. The right side would be similar to recur is what you said earlier, which, yeah, this is, you do recur and then you put j equals I and then you increment I. Oh, that's starting to make a little bit of sense. As fast as Java, I guess. Yeah, W, that's a good question, actually. I would say probably is the answer. And at the same time, it's not by default. Like, if you just use the idiomatic Clojure structures and all of that, there will probably be some bottleneck in your pipeline that you'll need to or might want to go down into like using mutable Java arrays or something like that. But well, I can tell you the way I'm writing my code, it is not fast. Like, you can see it here, right? This 2D render should be running really, like, it should be quick. But if you look at this function here, it is rendering as we speak, and it takes seconds. It takes 10 seconds or so. Way too slow. But that's not a problem of Clojure per se. It's maybe more a problem of how I'm doing this. There are better ways to do it. I'm literally just writing a PNG in a naive way. Because this is not meant to be a production-ready renderer. It's meant to be a utility renderer. I do want to get it faster, though. The documentation for this is really not very good. Yeah, Mike, I do agree. It's confusing, to say the least. I do wonder if... I know that for other functions, Inigo has created YouTube videos where he does the derivation, and that's a little more clear. Like, I prefer the derivation because then I can understand the math behind it and then implement the math in Clojure native ways. But right now, I'm literally just trying to put the function in to see what it's doing, you know? In other words, you should generally be doing the exact opposite of what I'm doing. Fair enough. I've been interested in compute shaders and wondering if there are really nice ways to link, run a Clojure function as if it were just a GPU thing. That'd be really neat. Rewrite Clojure code in the shading language. See, I would love if you make a Clojure function, then it is bytecode. I would love a way to wrap the bytecode in something that you could then just shove to the GPU and run it on like an array. You know, that would be really cool. I don't know how to do that yet, but there might be a way. I don't know. All right, utils clamp. Right, so this function works, you give it a value and then you give it the lower bound, upper bound. So if I want to clamp between 0 and 1 and I pass it 2, it'll return 1. And if I do -2, it'll return 0. Perfect. Okay, so I want to clamp some value between 0 and 1, like this. Make them floats, why not? Neanderthal was not a permitted word? That's weird. A Clojure interpreter in GLSL? W, that's wild. That's wild style. Neanderthal does that in the library guide. Okay, so what I've just learned, yeah, I guess people could use Neanderthal as like, oh, you Neanderthal as in something mean to say. Well, it's permitted here because it's not a mean thing. Look at Neanderthal library. See if so Illusion. Does Neanderthal have compute shaders stuff? See how they do computations efficiently or whatever. Library recommended by viewer. Illusion for you. There's so many screen names making their way into my scratch notes file. I love it. People are really helpful. Where did my function go, please? Excuse me. Oh, this is... Don't need that. There we go. You can choose... Compute shaders are probably Cro-Magnon level. If someone was going to insult me, I'd be more impressed with them calling me that Neanderthal than a normal insult. I do love a good completely out of left field insult that like there's a point where something is so bizarre that it's like not insulting and it's just funny. But you gotta be like friends, right? Like if you're doing that to strangers, it's just directly rude. Like one of my favorite ones is, I don't know, it's probably kind of silly, but it's like, oh, you mouth breezer. Or you horse's ass. That one's funny. I use that on my brother all the time. I want to be clear, I love my brother very much. We understand each other. Okay, so in Neanderthal, you can choose how to compute your operations. That's really helpful. I'm going to look into that after my stream. That'll be nice. Clamp. What am I clamping? Utils / dot product. Oh, this is such a messy. This is going to look awful. I'm sorry, everyone. It's just not going to be pretty. But that's how we do it today. That's how we're dealing with it. Let's dot product W and E. And we divide that dot product by utils / dot star EE. Okay, so clamp, the result of that thing between 0 and 1, and that is a vector. No, it's not. Oh, I see. You have to do... I have to do this. Repeat 2 to make it a vector like that. Or I do this instead. Let's not do that. That's kind of silly. So this utils v minus thing is I don't know what the proper name for it would be, but you have to pass it in two equivalently shaped vectors. So if I do v minus 0, 0, minus 1, 1, this gives back -1, -1. This one is -1, -2. So it's element-wise subtraction. It's mapping the two. It's mapping between two vectors instead of just one vector and a single thing, if that makes any sense. But here, W is a vector, and I'm just subtracting a single value, so I either have to repeat the value or map V minus over this. Oh, no. The order, you know what, I will do it with the repeat, just because I'm lazy at the moment. That's the truth. It's the cold hard truth, my friends. Today, I'm lazy. And I will fix this all up once it works. Make notes, make it work, all that kind of stuff, you know. I like throwing out weird insults like, don't be the tuft of a warthog's here. People never know how to respond. Yeah, you know what? There's nothing like baffling someone to really throw off an argument, right? Or a fight, or just to mess with people, right? If you can't kill them with kindness, just baffle them instead. Mike used baffle. It was super effective. All right, let's assume that this is good. And let's calculate what D would be in this loop here. Which is right here. So D becomes the min of D, which in this case, I actually, inside this expression, D will have this old value. So this will actually work. And then I just have to do, it's the minimum between that and util slash dot product of B and B. I always am thrown off by, I always think that a dot product of itself will always be 1 or 0 or whatever, but that isn't how dot product works. I feel like we're talking about Pokemon moves. Kill them with kindness and baffle them. Do you listen to music on stream sometimes? Yeah, my Illusion Mike has answered the question. I don't stream with music, and the reason is concern about DMCA stuff. Now, if there are ways around that, or ways that I can actually use like chill hop type stuff, or I don't know, something nice, then I'll actually might consider looking into it. I do wonder if that would actually be a nicer stream or not. I don't know. I'm willing to look into it. In your opinion, Illusion, would that make it? Is that something you enjoy? I feel like the silence probably throws some people off, but it's never been a problem for me. But I do like listening to music as well, so I'm willing to change. You know what? I'm not stuck in my ways. I can grow. I can improve all that stuff. Okay, so that's D, and now C, which Martin has helpfully pointed out, bvec is a Boolean vec. So what this is going to be is, it's just if the y coordinate of P is greater than or equal to the y coordinate of V at I, all three of these have to be true, or all three of them have to be false, and then you can toggle S. It's just a toggle, right? Because you just set S to either, you set it at 1 here. So the first time around, if you multiply S, you do 1 times -1, S becomes -1. The next time around, it will be -1, and then all you do is multiply it by -1, it'll become 1 again. So it'll have this toggling effect. Why is that important? It is important only here at the end, where you do a square root of D to get distance value. Yeah. Okay. I see, because there is free music called Lazy. I was going to advise you to hear it now. Lazy music, the kind that artists basically make free for anyone. It's house and techno, but good quality. Cool. Illusion, do you have a link? You can drop a link if you want into the chat. My rule and handling of links is simply this: it's okay to post them as long as no one abuses it. If there's someone abusing link posting, then our good mods will handle appropriately. But it's fine to share links. I don't open them on my main screen here for obvious reasons. It might be spam, it might be bad, or it might be someone trying to promote or whatever, and I, don't want to be opening stuff that's not conducive to a good stream. So you're allowed to share links, and yeah, how appropriate, Clojure's full of laziness. That's absolutely true. Yeah. Love EDM, Mike. You'll listen. Yeah, you'll take one for the team and listen to some EDM. I will gladly look into some of that kind of stuff for the stream. I'm totally on board with changing things up as I go. I want to have people enjoy the stream, right? Part of the goal is growing the stream over time, so why not have that? Right. So I actually, well, let's see here. I guess I could just make C some weird list of conditionals, right? Right, so if we do second P greater equal to sorry, just thinking I could change this up a little bit by doing VI is get points I, VJ get points J, then this is VJ and VI. Whoop. Then this one VI as well. Good. Good. Right, so here, this is greater than or equal to VI second of VI. Oh boy, I can't wait till this works or totally flops and I have to do something else. Second P. Ooh, I'm gonna do this. And here, this is second VJ. Doesn't Emacs highlight every VI in ugly color? Oh, are you making like a Vim joke or something like that? Sorry, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. Like Vi as in Vim? Yeah. Yeah, it actually just crashes if you type Vim directly. It closes and says you can't do that. So, Doptimus, do you use Vim or Emacs or something else? I love a good joke either way. It's fun to make fun of Emacs. It's fun to make fun of Vim. Oh, you use something else? What do you use, just out of curiosity? I have no shame, and like I love anyone who's using an editor that they love. I do not care what people use. It is a waste of time to be all rattled about what tools people use. It is funny though, because sometimes I've got rated twice by someone who develops a powerful plugin for Vim, and it's all friendly jokes, but when the chat comes in, it's just get rid of Emacs, Vim for life, all stuff like that. It's really funny. Any editor with same traditional GUI keyboard shortcuts. I'm on that wavelength. I mean, like in a pinch, you could write code on a piece of paper with a pen, right? So you know what? We're pretty spoiled with the power of the tools we have. Is that when Prime Agent raids? Yeah, and there's someone else, TJ, as well. In both cases, that's happened. It's very funny to me. It's so overwhelming, right? Because people, they're being friendly, but the chat is going with emotes and close emacs and install Vim, and it's really funny. But I'm just not used to it at all. Right, one more thing here. We've got to do first E times second W. Yeah. Times second E first W. Let me do one of these. This is gonna be horrible for me to read later on after I've forgotten everything. But I'll cross that bridge when I get to it, you know? Okay, so that's C, and then now I envy Lisp formatting in Emacs though. Yeah, I would imagine in a lot of modern editors there's decent structural editing stuff. All my Clojure functions begin life as one long string. One long line. Is that because why is that? Maybe I don't understand what you're getting at. Like you just type it all out and then format it after you've written it, kind of thing. Because I'll be honest, I am neglecting to use structural editing in a sane way at the moment. That's a thing I'm just not doing right now. Some people think I'm crazy for doing it. I do too, to be frank. Okay, that's C. Okay, so I've calculated all the things. Yeah? Now let's see what we can do here. Yeah, oh, okay, I gotcha. When your editor's written in Lisp, you probably want to make the editor display that language nicely at a minimum. Yeah, that's true. I feel like Lisp is on people's minds when they're in Emacs, right? eLisp. You want to make eLisp look good. Oh, hey chat, I am going to have to get going very soon. I do want to put a pin in this function and watch it fail and fall over, and then I'm going to have to get going. But can I share the link? Yeah, Illusion, go ahead. You can share the link for that. And who knows, maybe on the next stream I'll have some nice casual music going. Yeah, Illusion, and anyone who's watching, if you missed it, the rule for links is it's okay to post links in the chat as long as you're not spamming stuff, as long as you're not abusing the privilege. Mike is my mod. He can ban you or time you out if you're abusing links and stuff like that. Totally cool to publish links otherwise, though. Cool to share stuff you're working on, that sort of thing. I don't typically open them up on my screen for potentially inappropriate content reasons. Simple as that. I have all the power. Well, Mike, you have all the power until I take it away. So let's play nice, okay? Mike, it's really funny because you keep joking that you're going to abuse your power, and you have not done that even once. So at the moment, I'm still trusting everything. Can't have it back. I'm just saying you use the word all the power when truth be told, you have some of the power because I grant it to you. But this is not a place where we have power struggles. I happen to trust you and your ability to be a helpful mod. I also trust that I don't actually need much moderation because people have been really nice in chat. And I appreciate the people for being really nice. And I want to keep that up. So thanks, everyone. Yeah, and Mike, you can power trip if you want to. As long as you don't actually go crazy. And I don't think you will. Right. So if all C, if not all. Much love. Thanks, Illusion. Okay, so how Oh wait, I wonder if maybe I should do this in a little S here. All I need to do is do into set C if the count of the set is greater than 1, that means you don't do anything. Oh, I have to no, let's make this, let's write this in a positive fashion. Okay, so when the count of the set of C is 1, that means they're either all true or all false. When that is true, then S is toggled. You do S is S times -1, like that. And S comes from here. You don't need to make it a float. I can just leave it like that. Oh no, this can't be a when. This does have to be an if. Because it's either S is S times -1, or if it's not the case, you just multiply it by 1 so that it stays the same. It doesn't toggle it. Wow, what a way to write this condition. Yeah, it's super weird. And by the way, I am going to modify this function. Everybody rest assured that this will not be the final implementation of this algorithm. I will make it Clojure. I'll make it look Clojure-y. Because this is driving me nuts. You could do or apply or to C. Will that work? Sorry, let me apply. Can you apply or? I don't think you can. I might be wrong. You can't apply a macro. Or is a macro. Here is lazy. I'm going to put that on my tab. Dopetimist, I might be misunderstanding your code snippet. I'm not sure. But I do know that, so or is a macro, you can't apply it. Unless I'm doing something wrong. It's a macro, okay. Yeah, I'll leave the set approach in for the time being. It's you're fair to criticize it. I'm not necessarily proud of it. Hey, Illusion, thanks for the link to the SoundCloud there. Ooh, 3 playlists even. All right, let me just make sure they're ready. I'll give them a listen. Or every identity C, every not C. Let's def C for a minute. True, false, true. Let's see. Or every. Oops, my bad. Just gonna. Every identity C. Sorry, I'm. And now let's do true, true, true. True. Oh, nice. Let me do this for a second. Alt conditional for checking C. There we go. I'm going to leave this here for the time being because I have to go soon, but there's even more there. Yeah, Illusion, thanks for sharing. I'll have to give a few of them a listen, see what I can see if they're helpful for the stream. And Doptimus, thanks for that as well. Okay, so we've got S. I'm going to temporarily assume that this all works. Now, what do I need to do with all that information? That is the thing, right? If all of this is true, if I is less than n, then you calculate all of this, and then you're going to need to loop. So you need to recur any day you want to time me out. Oh man, Illusion's being the guinea pig here. All we do is get things right on the first try. Mike, you have more confidence in in my code than I do. 60% of the time it works every time. Right, so we recur, and I have to pass in these 4 things. So we recur on increment I. J we set equal to I, so we pass in I. Yeah, that actually might work. D becomes D. S is S. So that is when you're still in the loop. So you recur. So recur, basically what it does is it calls this entire function again, and it will just, the things you have to pass into recur are a one-to-one match with the bindings you put in the loop at the start here. So these are your initializing values. They match up to this part of the block. This part here, this condition, ends up being here inside the loop. Then what you do here, what you pass into recur, ends up being this part here, basically. And then you just have to get this part here, you just have to put that as the false condition of the if here, of the if, that part of the branch. Whoa, hey, Illusion, you subbed. Thank you. Man, that's great. I appreciate that very much. Thanks so much. Do you know what, Illusion? You're sub number 3. that's pretty. Hey, Hatem Dragon. Hello. How are you? I hope you're well today. I hope things have been treating you nicely. What brings you to the stream? All right, I gotta see if this will work. That's what's on my mind here. So, okay, finish this off. The return value for this whole mess is going to be s times square root of d. So let's do that. We'll multiply s by math/square root d, and let's see what breaks. util/v doesn't exist. Yeah, I know that. Oops, there. Unable to resolve p. That's because it doesn't exist. Points. Can only recur from tail position. Oh, I have to invert. If right, I forgot about that. P is missing. Sorry, Martin. P is missing. P is point. Oh, this should just be point, not points. There we go. So P in this here, P is the point that you are querying. And the way I'm the way I do these functions in Clojure is I write a function that returns, it's a higher order function that expects that point. So you construct the SDF with the Polygon function, passing in points, then you render Polygon by passing, like mapping points over the returned function there. So point is the correct thing, which, didn't fix the tail call thing, of course. Let's invert this then. So we'll just do not for lazy reasons. You're trying to stuff the last expression into let and not else. Oh, thank you. That makes, that's what it is. Thank you very much. That solves that. Much appreciated. Hayden, I want to learn GSL for shadertoy. Do I need C or C++ experience for that? I mean, not it being in then. Yeah, Doptimist, I think I got, thanks for pointing out my error there. I think that fixes that. It looks like it has. Hayden, do I need C experience? No, it might be helpful for parsing syntax. Does that make sense? I, for example, don't. I mean, people watching this stream might very well understand. I don't have significant experience in C or C++. So I stumbled and I struggled for a minute to understand this shader code here because of how this for loop syntax worked. It confused me. However, once you understand the syntax rules of GLSL, you should be good to go. As a general rule, if you want to learn any language, I think the answer is you don't necessarily need to know anything prior. There are a lot of things that can be helpful, but strictly speaking, it isn't necessary. Does that make sense? It might be harder, but if you want to learn GLSL, I say go for it. Give it a shot. All right, let's see if this works. Let's run Polygon utils. And someone in chat might know way more about GLSL to actually give some more helpful advice on that front. No. Oh. Run out of space here. Okay. Regular polygon points. The radius is 6. Oh, I'm doing this wrong. Let's make the radius 60. And the number here. Okay, didn't fail yet. Let's def A as this. I think this is going to fall over. Yeah. Okay, let's see here. Clojure for the... Oh, let's see what everyone has to say here. Yeah, Hayden tried to learn C++ many times, just not my taste. You know what? I agree with you there. I get baffled by it. Clojure for the Brave and True was a nice book to get started on Clojure. And given that GLSL is a C-like, knowing C will help with syntax. Realistically, going through tutorials will take care of getting you most of the way for what you want to learn. Also in the book of shaders tutorial, if you want to learn how to code, I highly recommend you start with processing and come back later when you're comfortable with it. Ooh, okay, so Hayden, have you used processing or do you know anything about it? Because I have a dynamite recommendation when it comes to that. There's this YouTuber, Coding Train. Processing is a really cool thing. There's processing on the JVM and processing on JS. Yeah, the Coding Train is, I think He's kind of funny. I like his presentation style. He's very approachable presentation. If you're looking to start with something casual and you just want to pick one thing up at a time, if you want to do processing, this person has really good stuff for sure. The coding train. It's not necessary, but it's there. Really cool stuff. Yeah, and Mike's totally right. Tutorials can get you. It can help you fill in gaps and stuff. Let's see how pervasive these errors are right now. Let's see. Oh, so see, this is going to be a bit of a challenge. I am going to have to take my leave at this point. It's a little after 2, and I did say to my roommate I would shut things down for her meeting and stuff like that. So I do have to get going. I want to say thanks to everyone for the for the links, for the advice, for the help parsing this, all that stuff. It's been really, I had a great stream today, everyone. Thank you once again, Illusion, for the sub. That is so cool to see. Oh, cheers from Sweden. Oh, cool. I love hearing that people are coming from all over. It's really exciting. Glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, Illusion W. Thanks for joining me. I will be. If you want to check in again, no pressure, of course. But I do Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday is my usual stream days. I go for about 2-ish hours doing Clojure usually. Mike, always plug in my YouTube channel. I have a YouTube channel. I have edited stuff talking about Clojure, exploring more creative projects with code, that kind of thing. If you're interested in that, give it a look. Share this stuff around with other people if you want to see the channel grow. You know, all that good streamer stuff. I just appreciate that you're here having a good time with me. So that'll be all. I'll be back. I won't be here tomorrow. I'll be back on Thursday though. So maybe I'll see you around then. Either way, have a good day, and I hope you're all well and have fun doing what you're doing. Clojure stream for the brave and true. I love it. All right, everyone.